I'm on.
All right.
Real.
Yeah, man.
Good job,
How about
dude.
that?
There we go.
Bonefish on.
What a lucky PhD candidate Nick is. He is passionate about fishing. He's passionate about bonefish, and he finds himself in a study where it's his responsibility to go and tag a bunch of bonefish.
Okay, get ready. We're gonna catch up to him really quick. See if we can get this guy in here. Do a little work on him. Wow, what a run. Woo! Oh! Yeah!
Come on. Oh, he ate it. Nice, baby. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I thought you said you had
I got him, relax.
Oh, dude, he just ripped my boat off. Oh, awesome. Look at that big boy. Woo!
The Hawks Cay Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, with Captain Tom Rowland and Captain Rich Tudor.
All set. Good looking
I
morning.
think so. Wait for Nick here. When he gets here, he can tell us all about what he's been doing, but pretty cool stuff, man. A lot of cool research on bonefish and redfish, and I think you'll like it.
Yeah, that's really all. I'm always interested in their travel patterns and growth rates and all that stuff. It's just, you're always guessing. It's neat to see some actual science.
What's up, Nick?
How we doing, guys?
Doing great, man. Doing great. This is
Hey,
Rich.
Nick, how you doing, man?
Rich,
Good to see you, bro.
good to see you. Tom,
What do we got there?
good to see you. We got the science kit. We got our centrifuge, fish floaty, and all the little goodies in here.
What's in here?
I'll show you what we got.
Centrifuge
Centrifuge, just like your doctor's office, but portable.
for bonefish.
That's right.
No kidding.
Bonefish. So we got all of our needles, lithium heparin tubes. We put the blood in there and centrifuge out the plasma. We got our little pipettes, everything's sterile. Measure the fish. We got the kit, so everything's gonna eventually go in here.
Right.
Goes in a freezer, goes off to Sweden, and we find out what drugs these fish are taking.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
This is all very interesting with the pharmaceutical research here to see. That's what they're studying is what the effects of the pharmaceutical drugs that we take, how that gets into the water and then actually into the fish.
Yep.
It's pretty eye-opening.
Yeah, it
actually.
certainly is.
So hopefully we can help you out today. We catch a couple fish and
Let's
get
catch
some
a couple.
fin clips or whatever we can do, some blood samples.
Let's find out what they've been taking.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right, let's go, man. We're baited up, ready to go. I'll take
Awesome.
that for you. I'm always looking to science to learn a little bit about the fish that we fish for down here. I'm just really interested in trying to get any other information, not just to figure out how to catch more, but these things, we just look for these fish all the time, and there's so much mystery involved with these fish. Where'd they come from? Where are they going? How old are they? Do they live here all the time? These are all questions that I think about all the time. And so to get an opportunity to go and help with some science and then maybe have a few of these questions answered, maybe either now or in the future, I'm gonna jump at that chance every time. And we had the opportunity to go fishing with Nick Castillo, and he is working with Dr. Jen Rehage at the Rehage Lab at FIU. He's a PhD candidate, and I don't know, it makes me wanna go back to school because nobody ever told me that you could go bone fishing all day and that would count as your school. But that's what Nick is able to do. And he's very knowledgeable about the bonefish, both the scientific parts about bonefish, but also as an angler. He's a good angler.
It's funny, a lot of science isn't happening in the lab. It's happening at the bar after a conference, right? So you get to chatting, and we're fisheries ecologists. That's our core, my lab. And we were chatting with experts in the ecotox field. That's what we call contaminants in the environment, ecotoxicology. And they're like, hey, we're doing research on fish. We're seeing that their behavior's changing. They're getting eaten more. And then since we partner with Bonefish and Tarpon Trust, they do a spawning project. And they saw that the Florida bonefish versus the Bahamas bonefish acts completely different. And we're like, why not take a couple samples and just see? And they found drugs in those fish. And so immediately we're like, okay, this prompted a study. It was fully funded in 2018 is when we started. Sampled for a year, 2 years. Send our samples off to Umeå lab in Sweden with Dr. Thomas Broden and Jürger Fick. And they're the ones that kind of established that, hey, you give a fish an anti-anxiety drug, they're gonna get eaten more frequently.
Yeah.
They're gonna have trouble surviving and reproducing. So that's really what started it all, a conversation at the bar after a conference.
Yeah.
So we decided to meet Nick up in Key Largo. You know, there's some good fishing up there, especially for bonefish this time of year. When the water's cold, I've always loved to go up there. Great bonefish year round, but especially in the wintertime.
Yep, we had the skiff on the lift here at Hawks Cay, which is a great opportunity to keep it out of the weather, and then if we want to go someplace, all I got to do is pull that thing down, put it on the trailer, and we're ready to go. So we met him at John Pennycamp State Park. We put in there a number of times. It's a great place in Key Largo to put your boat in. Big ramps, lots of parking, very clean, very nice. And it's also a very good place because of the proximity to all of the fishing. I mean, we started fishing right when we got out of the idle zone, pretty much.
So we did a really large-scale study, which is unique. It's the first of its kind. In this field, like I said, we're ecologists and ecotoxicologists. We think differently. But when we come together, we look at this problem from different angles.
All right, we're gonna jump up here, guys.
All right.
Let's roll. That's pretty cool stuff, man.
Yeah.
And you get to go out and catch bonefish for your research.
I don't mind it one bit, man.
Pretty good gig.
I'm on.
Real. Yeah, man.
Good job,
How about
dude.
that?
There we go.
Bonefish on.
Bonefish on.
There we go.
The Hawks Cay Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, is brought to you by Hawks Cay. Find what lures you. Lowrance, America's #1 fish finder. Waypoint, the destination for outdoor entertainment. Mercury Marine, go boldly. St. Croix Rods, the best rods on earth. Marathon in the Florida Keys. And by Ameritrail Trailers. Daiwa. Black Rifle Coffee Company. Power Pole. And Reflex Boat Decking.
I like this spot.
It's a good one. Yeah, maybe we'll idle a little bit in if we get a little shallower, kind of deep here. We can always do some blind casting with the bucktails and that yellowtail jig thing, which can be particularly productive.
Yes, it certainly can. Okay, we'll get a couple of rods ready. We'll get right in there.
Perfect.
What a lucky PhD candidate Nick is. He is passionate about fishing. He's passionate about bonefish, and he finds himself in a study where it's his responsibility to go and tag a bunch of bonefish. Of course, you know, in order to be able to do that, you either need to be able to catch them yourself or you need to get time with somebody who can catch them. Nick is completely capable of catching them himself. He's an avid angler, he's very knowledgeable, but he's also knowledgeable in the science of the bonefish. So he's going out there, he's catching bonefish, he's tagging them, he's drawing blood, he's taking fin clips, and taking all of this information back to the lab to learn much more about the bonefish.
And I guess back to your question too about maybe why did these big fish disappear? And we see that the lifespan of a bonefish, you know, these big ones, is probably in the mid-20s. So they live about 20 to 20 years. Maybe some of our bigger fish aged out and we weren't getting those new fish year after year. You know, because as you described, you weren't really getting those small ones back in the day.
Yeah.
You heard 20 to 30 years old is big ones?
Yeah, at least from what we've found.
Up in Key Largo, you know, going out on the ocean side this time of year is really where I find the most bonefish. North or south, great bonefish in both directions. We tried the first spot up the shoreline, you know, up to the north a little bit, got on some of the flats with that high water, just beautiful. And we were seeing sharks and rays and you know, really great anticipation to see these bonefish, but we just didn't see them.
Well, the tide was incredibly high. And one of the things about bonefish is that there is a magic depth of water that we really like. And the deeper the water, the harder they are to see. We bounce around to a couple of spots until we find a place that the water's starting to look right. Now we're getting in the water depth that we really like, and everybody's getting a little more excited.
I think I got a muddin. Yeah, I see the bodies. Point your rod. Little right.
Come on.
The left. Right there, go long. I can see them, they're coming right at us. Slow down, stop it. That's pretty good, tip high.
I'm
Where are
right
they?
You might be getting bit. Tom, do you see him?
No.
Point your rod. You're pointing left,
left,
left, left, left, left, left.
Close,
Coming
close,
towards you.
close.
Coming towards you.
Close.
Close.
That's good.
Now they went right. Reeled in all. Reel yours in, Tom.
Yeah.
They're going. They were way long that time. They're kind of spooky a little bit. If you're just a little cloud cover, or the sun's a little low, or the water's a little, murky, it's so hard to see those fish. And that was the case that morning. We kind of had some cloud cover, and they weren't easy to see, but we finally found this big school. It was like 15 to 20 fish. They started mudding a little bit, really working, and you could see them so good. And we kept chasing them around, trying to get one shot after the other, just couldn't get the perfect cast on them.
Hey, but at least they hung around. I don't think they made us too bad. Let's see if they keep working. All right, we're clouded.
When you have cloud cover like we had there, it was the cloud would come in front of the sun, and then you can't see anything. And then the cloud moves away, and all of a sudden it's like somebody turns the lights on. And we were waiting patiently, just trying to find this school. We had seen them mud. We were confident that they were in the area. So we throw a couple of baits out. The cloud came out from in front of the sun. The lights come on. He says, "We have bonefish right here." And he already had his out. He didn't even have to cast to him. He's like, well, maybe they'll come over this way. Oh, I'm getting bit. I'm getting bit.
I'm on.
All right.
Reel. Yeah, man.
Good job,
How about
dude.
that?
There we go.
Bonefish on.
Bonefish on.
There we go.
Right on. Good job, dude. You want me to go after him?
We do have some shoots.
This guy's going. Yeah, we got some shoots. I'm gonna stand up. He's running, man.
Wow, what a run.
My goodness.
Okay, get ready. We're gonna catch up to him really quick. See if we can get this guy in here. Do a little work on him.
Heck yeah.
That was great, man. Good job. Great cast. Good hook up. You were saying this would be a really good place to sample one because there's a
We got
big
wastewater.
population. You got a
Yep.
wastewater treatment plant and just lots of other stuff around.
Woo!
So after we chased around this school of bonefish, it was mudding and just back and forth on this flat, we finally get that one hooked. And Nick did a great job, man. That thing was, a blistering run. This is where, probably the thing that I admire about the bonefish the most is their run. Pound for pound, when you hook into one of those, it's a bonefish. He must have taken 200 yards or more of line off that, and you intelligently started pulling after it because there was mangrove shoots up there, and Nick's holding the rod up super high to keep that line above the mangrove shoots because it would have been really easy to lose that fish on that run. Really strong.
So we got a landing net to make sure that we get him.
Going.
Is that what you think we should do?
Yeah, we'll get them in the net, keep them in the water. We really don't want to take these fish out of the water at all. And then we put them in the fish floaty, get them ready for the science. They just hang out, they chill.
And this is where, you and I have used these landing nets over the years. We don't need to rip them up out of the water, but we want to, as quickly as possible, get that fish calmed down and chilled so he's not, wearing himself out and, have a tougher time recovering.
That's a good fish, guys.
It's gonna be a great fish.
There
So
we
we just
go.
get this guy right in the net, leave him right in the water, huh?
There we go.
Perfect.
There we go.
Very good. Good work.
Whoa, he's
God,
pretty. Look at those blue
look at
fins. So I got the big landing net out, got him in there, kind of secured him. And while I was doing that, you were blowing up this I guess it was a baby pool float. And I was like, what is this all about?
That is a solid fish. And then once we get him in there, he'll just hang out. God, that was a run, wasn't it?
What Nick was saying about this pool float is that the fish can't see through it. And like they could see through a landing net, so they want to swim. They think they can get away, and the fish can't see through it, and he just chilled out. Now you're not in a hurry. Like he can now do the science stuff that needs to be done without having to worry about hurting this fish or killing this fish, and that's exactly what happened. That fish just sat in there. He was perfectly chilled out, and we got the samples we needed.
All right, so with these goodies here, we're gonna start with a needle and a syringe. So we use all sterile equipment, and we use a needle similar to what you guys would find if you were giving blood, donating blood. Lock that in place, and we're just gonna set that to the side for now. Okay. When we take the blood, we're putting it into this tube. So this, we were discussing this earlier, this is a lithium heparin tube. So that's an anticoagulant. So I'll put the blood in there, and when we're processing it in the centrifuge, that'll spin it out. And you'll have the blood cells stopped by this, and then all of the clear plasma, and that's what we're gonna extract and what we inevitably analyze.
Catching one bonefish with Nick was gonna be way different than catching one, you know, when we just go out there on our own. We're gonna catch the fish, let it go. But Nick, what he said is, we want to get as much data as we can possibly get off of this one fish, so that catching this one fish will benefit way more than just this area, and way more than anything.
There's a spot right here with no scales, so I come in there and I'm finding the ventral caudal vein. So I go in there, and it's just above the spine.
Okay.
Once I find it, which I just did, I add some suction, could be facing in different directions, to find that blood.
There it is.
There we are.
But when
Here
you
it
hit it,
comes.
there's no mistaking it.
2 milliliters, and once I take this out, put some pressure there for me. Ready? Yep. Go for it. All right, hold it nice in there.
It's okay, little fella.
We're gonna get the length, the girth, we're going to take a fin clip, we're gonna get a blood sample, and that's what they're studying here, is the bonefish blood plasma. So he knew exactly how to hit the vein that was necessary on the bonefish, and the bonefish was perfectly fine and healthy.
Now we can take a fin clip and let it on its way.
So I've been using power poles now for over 15 years and learned a lot of lessons on how to rig my boats, made some mistakes and rigged them ways that I wasn't really happy with. There's different size poles, different size boats, and really I've used the power pole on every boat I've got now. This is the 26 yellowfin here. I really like the 8-foot blades on this boat. They're long enough to get down where we want them to get down, but they're short enough to where we can fish over them, and we're fishing off the back of the boat. That's real important. Also, always order it with 2 power poles on these bigger boats. You can have more stability and be able to hold up in rougher water like that. Also, the longer poles just aren't as important in a boat like this, because if we're out in deep water, we can always put a trolling motor down and anchor with the trolling motors. Now, when we get into the different size boats, like the bay boats, sometimes the 10-footers are a good option if you want to have deeper, access to get on the bottom on the deep flats. And then when I'm fishing on the skiff, I always order the boat with 1 power pole on that skiff. Really don't need much to hold us down. It's a little light boat. And then I'll go with the shorter power poles there, either the 8-footer or even a 6-footer, just to stay out of the way when we're push poling and stuff like that. But always rig my boats with power poles. It really makes a huge difference in that shallow water, whether we're fishing, we want to stop, or even just out with the kids, on the sandbar. It's really nice to be able to push a button and make sure the boat's sitting there. With power pole, you always have total boat control.
The Hawks Cay Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, is brought to you by Yellowfin, live deeper. Hook. Tackle Direct, the world's premier fishing outfitter. Yeti, built for the wild. Key Largo, in the Florida Keys. And by Golden Boat Lifts, Power Pole Move, Nikon, and Lithium Pros.
So I'm assuming the best way to let him go is just to dip that down and let him swim right out, huh? Perfect. All right, buddy, thank you. Hopefully we get some good data that keeps all of your children alive.
That we will.
Way to go, man.
Nice job, guys.
That's cool.
I learned a lot. Nice job.
Nick was really cool. I mean, at first I didn't know what to expect. I thought he was just a scientist, but as we're, asking these scientific questions and really answering a lot of unknowns that I wanted to know about the fish that we were fishing for, I realized that he's also an avid fisherman. I mean, he knows all these things, and I realized he's done some guiding. And then as we're talking and getting to know each other towards the end of the day, he's like, yeah, man, I've been following you guys forever. When I was a kid, I actually tried to book a charter with you. And, it didn't work out. I ended up going with another guy. But man, you know, here it is, 20 years later, got to fish with them. And what a day. I mean, just so many questions answered, both, you know, catching some fish, having fun, and having this same, you know, young man that wanted to go fishing and was passionate about fishing years ago, now getting to go out here and answer questions that I want to know about these fish we're fishing for. It was a really cool experience.
See that amount? That's all it takes. 104 different pharmaceuticals we can look at with just that little bit.
Did you know you can get every episode of Saltwater Experience completely free on Waypoint TV? Go to waypointtv.com and find out how you can download the app or find it on any smart TV. And if that's not enough, you can find the Tom Rowland podcast on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere you find podcasts. And we'd love to have you as a follower on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Should we be thinking about maybe getting your samples back?
Yeah, you know, getting them back, replenishing the cooler with some ice, then back to the freezer.
Well, I'm good. That was really fun, Nick. I learned a ton. I really appreciate you showing us that.
Yeah, thanks for having me out, guys. That was great.
I appreciate you doing that, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, it's important for somebody to be taking care of these fish, and
well, you
thank
guys
goodness
too.
for smart people like you.
I don't know if I'd say that, but I'm good at pretending. No, but to be able to come out and chat about it and have more people interested and understand with what's going on with our fisheries, super valuable.
Well, you're really making science fun, man. Yeah.
Yeah, this is fun science.